rope. Let's just get right into it. She's back. Dinner party from hell, Miss Allison DuBois.
Hi, thank you for having me back to talk about this not so fascinating dinner party.
I love how you texted me last night and you're like, or 2 nights ago, and you're like, I was bored.
It was so boring. I actually had high expectations after the first one because they just gave you a little bit and you're like, it's really going to hit the fan for the second part. And then it just didn't. It was monotonous and predictable and boring.
There were moments I found humorous. By the way, can I just say before we start, so there is this, I think it's a web page, this web page, Your Bish Therapist. And I guess they posted on their story, they were posting like, this is our, because now they're like armchair therapists. They were like, this is our theory for why, Kyle and Mauricio are separating. And basically they went through like, she lost her friend Lorraine, and they were like, we think maybe like when you lose someone, of course, that's, a life altering event.
Sure.
And basically, they were like, when she went to Mauricio and, she needed support and he wasn't necessarily there for her. And Kyle, then I think they tagged Kyle. Kyle was sharing these on her story. Now, presumably, if you're going to share something on your story, you agree with it. You are buying into this theory. Otherwise, you would never do that if it was a troll. So she was sharing these on her story. And she was like putting her stamp of approval on this Bish Therapist podcast, which was basically saying that, Mauricio was not emotionally there for Kyle in her moment of need. Now, I hate to be a lawyer here at the top of the show, but
Preach.
are they saying that Mauricio does not emotionally fulfill Kyle? And is she agreeing with this and putting this on her story? And have we heard this anywhere before, people?
I
I'm just
think
asking.
I think we have heard that before. I think that Kyle didn't think of that as an out, and they gave her an out for her behavior. So I'm sure that losing her friend, which I didn't know she had one, I mean, a real one. So when you do lose somebody that is close to you, I will say, in my experience with all of the people that I've counseled over the years, when somebody's grieving, they don't tend to lash out at everyone around them for minute things that aren't really any of their business. But she did a lot of lashing out at people the night of the dinner party. And so the armchair psychiatrists that are, giving her some sort of a diagnosis and an out really for being who she just really is. I think she posted it because she hadn't thought of it and they were more articulate than she is. So I do think that it's true that Maurizio didn't emotionally support her in times that she probably needed the support. And that was why the marriage ultimately failed. But I mean, I don't know both sides. I don't know if she was there for him when things went down on his side either. I mean, he had to have been through his own losses or difficulties in life. And was she there for him? So I don't know because I'm not in that relationship, but, people will speculate.
I just was like, on one hand, she's saying that you weren't right, and she's on Watch What Happens, and you were reading Camille, which we already addressed. And here she is posting this. I'm like, I think you're kind of admitting that Allison was right here without realizing what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Pick a
She'll
lane,
never
Kyle.
she'll never come out and admit that, which it's strange because it's obvious. And there's nothing wrong with saying that I'm right unless her ego's really the only thing fueling her irritation towards me, is that I called her out on something that I was right about, and it's why she reacted in such an explosive and an angry way and continues to do so. And that's part of her problem. She doesn't really work through things that bother her. She seems to um, bottle the whole Allison dinner party from hell scene up inside. And then when somebody asks her about it, she sort of explodes all over the place about how it was wrong how wrong I was and how happy they are. And that's all I heard for 13 years. Knowing that that's not the truth, but the truth will ultimately always come out, which it did.
I agree. I'm the opposite. I love when my ego is bruised and wrong. I love admitting when I'm wrong, but
Right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't
If
happen
I'm,
often, but
if I,
I'm thrilled when I'm wrong. I'm like, it's exhausting knowing a lot of
yes.
things.
And if I'm wrong, I'll say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. That was on me. Um, my kids know that. I'm the first to say, I'm sorry if it was my fault or if I felt like I was saying something that wasn't true, for sure. But, with Kyle, when the dinner party went down, a lot of people were just like, well, just apologize. And I've said for 13 years, I won't apologize for that. She asked for the reading. I told her what impressions I was pulling off of her and what I got. That was what stood out the most on her, energy wise. And I'm not sorry. She asked me to read her. So the fact that she had a bad reaction to it, I can't help how other people will react.
What stood out for you with this dinner party besides the fact that you were underwhelmed? And I think a lot of people were based on my DMs, but you tell me what stood out for you. Where would you like to begin?
Excuse me, where to begin? So, first of all, I thought when people had THC or weed, they called it Kyle's weed dinner. So that's not me saying it. That's Bravo. I thought they laughed a lot and were funny and lighthearted, but I didn't see any of that. So I wasn't sure it was actually put in the dinner because Kyle was still focused on the show and getting storylines and attacking people. So I didn't see that happy weed glow on Kyle.
What about Erica? Erica seemed a little lighthearted.
Um, because I don't watch the show, I mean, I can only base what I saw about Erica on these very few episodes that I've been watching with you. Um, she, Denise was so distracting in the whole episode. It was hard to watch anybody else. So I wasn't really paying attention to Erica because Denise's mouth looked like a water slide, you know? Like it just, how did she even do that with her lips? I was confounded by that just watching the episode. Didn't you find her face a little distorted?
I mean, she had a lot of facial expressions. The memes are going there. People are starting to say, like, I just want for New Year's to be on the high that Denise was on. I mean, I wonder, like, does Denise regret this re-entrance into this show?
I think she should regret it. She seems to need a little bit of help